Seems like street lights glowing. Happening. Moment passing. Welcome to the Tiltingground Untitled Notre Dame USC football podcast. I'm Michael Muto, and I'm here with Greg Flamon. Hi, Greg.
Hello, Michael.
Today's intro was a little Kanye West for everyone because I was not able to see the USC Arizona State game live because I was at the concert. And I feel like though they won and the season's still progressing, we have the same sentiments. I know my destination, but we're not quite there yet. And I think the destination, Greg, is just like I said at the beginning of the year in our preview. Under 10 wins. Not going to win the Pac-10 South. Just a disappointment of a season.
Well, why do you think that? What makes you think that?
I'm watching the game. I'm watching the players. I'm seeing what's going on, and it finally happens. Adoree Jackson gets his shine. He has the punt return. He has the little swing pass he takes to the house. It's magical, you know. Juju Smith gets another 100 yards. I'm thinking, why am I not happy? What's going on? What's going on? You know, and really, what did it for me was the first drive of the game. I couldn't shake it. They throw a bomb to Juju Smith. Oh, great! Oh, they're doing it. They're moving the ball. They run a play to Trey Madden. Oh, they're running the ball too. And then Cody Kessler throws a pick in the end zone practically. And it's like, you have to be better than that. That's not going to fly. And Arizona State apparently is not good at football. They're giving up yards to everybody. They're not scoring points. They score like 20 points a game. That's not good. And if you're doing things like that against Arizona State, I just still believe that the season's not going to go well. I know I'm being a downer. I'm sorry.
You are being a downer a little bit. Just a smidge on that.
I came out hot. You know, I just feel it. I feel it on the inside that things are. This is just a mirage. Things are not all good in Troy.
Well, I mean, so I watched a good amount of the game. I mean, at least the first half. I mean, the way the first half ended, it was the way the first half ended. It was pretty obvious that Arizona State was done, and it was getting late, and I had to go to bed. But I mean, I guess I didn't have the same kind of takeaways you. I mean, I definitely saw the first drive. I mean, the deep ball to Smith, and they went right down the field. It looked like they're about to score, and Kessler threw the pick. I mean, the pick to me was just. I mean, obviously, you never want to throw a pick in that area of the field. But I mean, the receiver. I think it was. It was number 7. Can't remember his name. Hold on.
Maybe that's Steve Mitchell. Steve Mitchell Jr.
Steven Mitchell, right. They throw to him a lot, actually.
He's a touchdown machine.
Who's this number 7 guy? He's always getting the ball.
Touchdown every game.
I think they were trying to get him inside, and basically he saw the safety and decided to go over top of the safety. And I think Cody Kessler thought he was going to cut inside. So, I mean, just kind of a miscommunication. The pass is probably going to be incomplete, but I don't think it would have been intercepted if the receiver ran the right route. So, I mean, it's one of those things. Like, it was definitely one of those, like, ominous signs where it's like, oh, here we go. Especially when Arizona State's first play was like a 62-yard run. But then they turned it right over, back to USC, and then they kind of righted the ship. I mean, they had a 3rd and long, and they yeah, teams are funny. SC. I'd like to know snaps for Adoree Jackson on offense and like targets, or when they just give him the ball. I mean, they put him in the game. They put him in motion. They put him in the backfield. Like, they're not doing that because they're going to throw the ball to Steven Mitchell. I mean, I guess they could do that to throw it to Juju Smith, but probably they're going to look at Adoree Jackson. And they did, and it was right away. They put him out in the flat, and you could tell that no one was covering him. And Cody Kessler just really quickly just flipped it to him. And, I mean, Jackson made mincemeat of the safety. I mean, he ran around him like yeah, I know you're here, but you're also like a sixth grader. And so, I mean, very easy for him. Adoree Jackson is very terrifying with the ball in his hands.
Well, that's what we've been waiting for all season. That's all the preseason hype. Is that he can do that, and
that is true. No, he's got that in him. He's definitely a guy that kind of everybody wants. But yeah, I didn't get the sense of doom that you felt. I mean, I think that going into the game, I felt like, and Tim and I talked about this last week, that I mean, this is a pretty big game for USC going in. Just, I mean, if they go to Arizona State and lose, then you're 1-2. Now you've lost to a team in the Pac-12 South. So you lost the game.
2-2. Don't forget Idaho and Arkansas State. Come on.
Oh yeah, that's right. 2-2. That's right. But then you're 0-2 in the Pac-12. Then you've lost the game in the Pac-12 South. Now you host Washington, and then you have 6 Notre Dame and 10 Utah and 24 California in
you're in trouble.
Weeks. 3 consecutive weeks without a bye. So, all of a sudden you're 2-2, 0-12, 0-2 in the Pac-12, and and it's not like Washington is one of those teams you're just going to roll over. I mean, they probably will now that they won, and they won rather convincingly, so their confidence is probably, back from what it was against Stanford. But if they lose, I mean, people are going to start talking about Sark kind of not being their coach anymore.
I would be okay with that conversation if they, if the losing keeps happening.
That's the point. And let me tell you something about Sarkisian, okay? I really enjoyed a lot of what USC did on the field on Saturday. I did not enjoy Sarkisian jumping around like a little kid. Like that is just not – it seemed totally just unself-aware, trying to put on some sort of front like, yep, I've got this team and I'm fun and I'm, we're doing the back whatever they call it, with they jump in the air and they hit each other's backs, and he's doing that to defenders. I just wasn't a fan of that, especially because that's not the way he's been in his entire career, and all of a sudden.
So you're saying he didn't do that against Stanford?
He didn't do it against Stanford. It's just not befitting of his personality, I thought. So that turned me off. But other than that, I mean, SC was very impressive, at least offensively. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious this year. I mean, I think SC is going to have, kind of the same issue with Notre Dame. Like their offense is going to be fine. Like you won't find a better offense in college football than USC, just kind of on a week by week basis. But like, what can their defense give them? Like, are they going to give up? Because look, Arizona State, they're one of those teams that like they have a lot of good players. Like, just they're terrible at all the little things. And they had 4 turnovers, and two of those turnovers were just. I mean, that just can't happen. Like that, you're on the goal line. They fumble the snap. They kick it around. SC returns it for a touchdown. Then on the ensuing kickoff, the kid tries to, do the thing with the ball over someone's helmet, pops out, and the game goes from 21-0 USC with Arizona State going in to score to make it 21-7. Now it's 35-0 going into halftime. It's like, don't even come back out.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't even come back out. So, but Arizona State, they still had 450 yards of offense. SC only outgained them by a yard in this game. So, I mean, what is the USC defense going to give them? Are they going to, are they going to limit teams to 20 points a game? Or are they going to be giving up 25, 26, 27 points a game? I mean, that makes a big difference. I don't think that SC is going to have a lot of trouble scoring. I mean, in the loss they had this year, they scored 31 points. And they probably would have scored more if the defense could have gotten off the field. But,
right.
So when you're losing games and you're scoring 31 points, like, the offense is not going to be the issue. I mean, Juju Smith is a monster. I can't believe how big he is. I saw it, and Notre Dame recruited him a little bit, but I mean, it was kind of one of those deals. It's like, yeah, he's showing interest, but not really. And I just didn't realize how big he is. I mean, he is a big person. He reminded me a lot of Keyshawn Johnson.
He is the real deal, man.
He had those long strides. He's just like fast, but he didn't just kind of a long strider, and he just muscles guys. I mean, I just couldn't believe it. I mean, he is going to be a real problem for every team. I mean, he's one of those guys that's like, he's one of those guys just matchup proof. It's like you just kind of hope. Like people talk about Will Fuller for Notre Dame. It's like, yeah, he's good. But I don't see him making a lot of contested catches. I mean, he's a guy who's just kind of so much faster than everybody. He's always open. Whereas Juju Smith, yeah, he can run by you, but also if you cover him, he could still catch the ball because he's so big and strong. So, and when you have a guy like that, all the complimentary guys, they don't have to be amazing because you have to pay so much attention to someone like him. So, I mean, you should feel good about the team offensively. Defensively, I mean, they have really good players in the secondary. I mean, obviously, Adoree Jackson's good. I really liked Damon Marshall. He played quite a bit in this game. I mean, he's another guy who does not look like a freshman at all. But you have to have questions about the defensive line.
Yeah, I mean, they're not good. They 180 rushing.
Yeah, they gave up 180 rushing. I want to say it was 5.5 yards a carry. Yeah, so that's going to be something that, might come back to get them.
There's a couple other little things that bother me, and I of a team that is, good enough. Good enough. This was a national title team with two Heisman candidates, and things like 10 penalties, a bunch on the offensive line. That's not good. That's not good coaching. That's not what you want to see. When guys are holding all the time, well, you're just supposed to be better than Arizona State. You're not supposed to hold. You're not supposed to get these really cheap penalties. The rush. They can't stop the run is another problem. I mean, thankfully this is college football and everyone throws it around, so that's good. But I mean, they got the turnovers they got a good game, but this is Arizona State. They turn the ball over a lot, so I'm just worried. I'm just the same problems that were over the last 3 games are still rearing their head.
I mean, it's definitely something that you can improve on, just like the run defense. Especially if you have young guys in there. I mean, they lost Leonard Williams, so I mean, when you lose a guy like that, obviously the replacement isn't going to be as good, just because you usually don't have a top 5 pick just kind of sitting on the bench. I mean, there's things you can work on. Obviously, you have to be a little concerned with teams like Notre Dame and UCLA down the line. I mean, we'll see what UCLA is like in the end of November, but you got Notre Dame coming up, you got Utah coming up. Those are 2 teams that like to run the ball a lot. So I would be concerned about. I mean, that would be my main concern.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, those 2 games back to back are going to be, very telling about what this season's going to be for USC. But I think that knowing that anytime you come out, you're going to at least put up 28.
You're locked in for 30.
Yeah, I mean, when you're scoring 30, I mean, that gives them a lot of margin for error. And it gives them that they can be the type of team that, maybe they give up yards like they did against Arizona State. But if they can create turnovers like they did against Arizona State, I mean, that was the thing of Stanford. Against Stanford, did they have a turnover?
No.
Did they create a turnover? So I mean, that just goes to show you right there. If they can't turn teams over, then yeah, they didn't turn the ball over against Stanford, and they didn't create any turnovers against Stanford. So, I think that might be the type of defense that they are. They're trying to turn teams over. They're trying to use their athletes, create havoc in the backfield, pressure the quarterback that way, and get them on the back foot and throwing the ball, forcing the ball into spaces before they're ready to do so. Obviously against Stanford that didn't work out and it got them beat. Can it happen against teams like Notre Dame and Utah? I mean, Notre Dame does not have a 3-year starting quarterback. Utah's got this kid who, I mean, has he been at Utah the whole time? I feel like he might have transferred. But either way, he's a senior. But, he doesn't have the pedigree of someone like Kevin Hogan. So,
right. I don't know. That's all down the line. So since there is no game this week, I thought that you're not ready for this. I thought it'd be fun, since the idea behind the podcast was the rivals view of your team. I have some quick hitter questions for you.
Okay.
USC so far through the season.
Okay.
So here we go. Greg, what does USC do best?
Throw.
Throw the ball. All right.
Yeah. They might have the best quarterback in football, in college football. I mean, he's good. He's really good. I mean, he was like, you could consider Saturday a down game for him.
Yeah, no, you could. The interception.
For what? Yeah, I mean, just from a completion percentage wise, like he was 57% passer. I mean, the previous 3 games, his low was 73%.
Yeah, I mean, anything under 65 is garbage for Cody Kessler.
Yes, so he's a 57%, but he was at 11.4 yards an attempt. He threw for 375 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 1 interception. If that's going to be a poor game for you, then you're looking pretty good.
All right, so you're watching USC. What player do you fear the most? This might be a gimme.
Well, I mean, I would.
You only can pick one.
I say Juju Smith because he's on the field the most. I mean, Adoree Jackson. Like, I don't really fear corners. I mean,
especially
he's a problem.
Without
like,
interceptions.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, I'm afraid of quarterbacks throwing bad passes. I'm afraid of that. But if Adoree Jackson and Juju Smith are on the field at the same time, then I'm more fearful of Adoree Jackson.
All right. Similar question. As a Notre Dame fan, what player would you want on the Notre Dame roster right now from USC?
Cody Kessler.
Really?
Yeah.
Didn't expect that as the answer.
Yeah, I mean, I really like Notre Dame's roster. I mean, the quarterback is the most important position in the game. So, I mean, if Leonard Williams was on this team, I would probably say him, but he's not. So, I'm going with the next best thing. I mean, I don't know that there's anyone on USC's offensive line that I would rather have than what Notre Dame's throwing out there. So, yeah, I would say Cody Kessler for sure.
All right, let's flip it for you now. What does USC do worst? We kind of touched on this, but what's USC do worst?
To defend the run.
Yeah. All right. So I'm a USC fan. How is USC going to be able to beat Notre Dame when that game comes down the pipe?
Turn them over.
So you got to hope for Notre Dame turnovers.
Well, I wouldn't say hope for them. I mean, I think they can force them.
You got to force them, all right.
Yeah,
all right.
I think if they can pressure Kaiser, then they can get up on Notre Dame early. And I think that the one thing that Notre Dame has not had to deal with this year is a deficit of more than 2 points. I mean, they trailed by 2 to Virginia, and then they trailed by 1 to Virginia later on. And they didn't trail against Georgia Tech. They didn't trail against Texas. They didn't trail against UMass. So, I mean, they've never been down even a touchdown. So, like, how are they going to deal with being down 14 points? So I think if SC just gets – I mean, in a world where, let's say, SC receives the kickoff, goes down and scores, and then Notre Dame turns it over on the first drive, some weird thing happens, and they go up 14-0, well, then what?
Right. That's all right. I like that. I like that scenario. All right, let's flip it. How does Notre Dame beat USC?
How does Notre Dame beat USC? They run the ball.
Run the ball, keep the offense off the field.
Well, not so much keep the offense off the field, but no team likes to get run on. So basically, like if Notre Dame just comes out and runs on them and scores that way, well, it's like they still have Will Fuller and they still have their other receivers and they still have all these other weapons, but it's like they don't even have to use them because they're just running on us. So it's like when you like going into the game, they're probably going to be saying, okay, like we're going to try to take away Will Fuller a little bit. And so if Notre Dame could run on them, and then it's like, well, now we have to sacrifice taking away Will Fuller to put someone in the box so we can stop the run. And if that happens, then Notre Dame has a two-way go on offense. And then, you know, if Notre Dame has a two-way go on offense, then SC is going to have a lot of trouble slowing them down because now you don't know what's coming. I mean, a perfect scenario is when you run when you feel like it and you pass when you feel like it, not when you have to. And then I think, just finding ways to pressure Kessler. You know, not so much turn him over just because, he's not that type of quarterback, I don't think. He's not going to get rattled in that way. But since he's not really mobile, like if you can get in his face, just making him throw when he's not ready or making him throw when he like a little bit before he wants to, you can limit his accuracy a little bit. And I don't like the idea of Notre Dame getting into a shootout with USC. So I think that if Notre Dame could just get enough stops, they could limit them. And, in the red zone, if they can limit USC's big plays and make them work for points and they can make them kick field goals instead of scoring touchdowns in the red zone, Notre Dame could win a game like 34-24, 34-28 or something like that.
All right. Well, speaking of Notre Dame beating people, let's talk about UMass on Saturday. What happened early there, Greg? That was a little too close for comfort.
Yeah, I'm not really into like 78-yard touchdowns where the guy is literally untouched, runs right up the middle. I don't really know what to say about it. You give up one play, and it goes for a touchdown. It's hard to really say, well, this is what's wrong with the defense because there's just one play. Someone takes the wrong fit or someone shoots the wrong gap and now it's a touchdown. And then, Kaiser throws an interception. It's just like the fear I have with the USC game. Kaiser throws an interception. UMass runs a little flea flicker. And now they're scoring touchdowns again. One of the touchdowns was aided by 3 missed calls on one play, which is actually pretty impressive. Not just that, but it was actually by the same referee.
3 missed calls. Do tell it.
So UMass lined up wrong. They had 5 people in the backfield. And when I saw it on TV, I was like, that's illegal formation. Like right away, it was obvious. Didn't call it. Then we've got our linebacker just getting held. Like he's doing the thing where his arms are like straight up in the air. He's backpedaling, but he's not going anywhere. So the running back is actually behind him, and he's like backpedaling, and he can't get turned around. That's usually a telltale sign that he's getting held. And this happened for like 10 yards, no call. And so then the back gets pushed out at the 2, and the ref just throws his hands up like it's a touchdown. And then they reviewed it for like 5 minutes. So if UMass gets called for holding on that, maybe the drive stalls, maybe it doesn't. Either way, like the only thing that really concerns me about the start of the game, and it was 21-20 kind of late in the second quarter, is that the kid from UMass is standing back there kind of unimpeded, able to throw kind of any route that he wanted.
That is something I wanted to bring up. I still feel like Notre Dame's having trouble getting pressure.
They're having trouble getting pressure with 4. So
right.
If you're gonna be sending multiple players, and they insist on, I'm just so tired of this like zone blitz dropping linemen into coverage thing. Like it's just so silly. It never. I honestly, I don't know that it's ever worked at this school. Maybe at other schools it works better, and maybe we don't recruit the right people for it, or I don't know what it is. But I'm so tired of it.
You can't see Jerry Tillery taking one to the house.
I don't want to see Jerry Tillery. I don't want to see who did they have in coverage? They had Romeo Aquara in coverage. They had Andrew Trombetti in coverage. I just don't want to see it. Cover it with the guys that you have to cover. And look, if you want to put Jalen Smith down and have him rush the passer, I'm all for it. But like Romeo Aquara, like he's not going to cover the flat. He's just not. It's not what he does. He's going to stand there. He's going to stand there and hope the quarterback throws it to him. I mean, I guess we could count on that. I guess we could count on that with a guy from Clemson who's completing 74% of his passes. Like, yeah, maybe.
Sorry.
But I trust that won't be the plan on Saturday.
We'll get there. But so what else happened on Saturday? There's still the no pressure. Will Fuller did his thing. Got a touchdown. I thought the passing was a little down, but I guess they're winning by so much it didn't matter.
Well, they rushed for 480 yards, so
yeah, that's a lot of yards.
It's like I said, why pass when you can just run it?
Well, you can do the old USC and just pad your stats, try to get a Heisman. Well, I guess they're doing that for the running back.
You could. He is. Well, I mean, so he's had. I mean, look, this offensive line is really good. He has 74 carries in the season, and 24 of those, he's gone 5 yards without getting touched. That seems good to me. I don't know how that is historically, but I'm in on that. So the offensive line is clearly the strength of the team. They're going to go as far as they take them, basically. I mean, like I'm very impressed with like all the freshmen who did well. Like CJ Sanders, I really enjoyed his punt return because it looked like he had an opportunity to break a couple in some earlier games, and he kind of made the wrong cut a couple of times. But it was nice to see him break through and return a punt for a touchdown.
I have a coaching question for you. Now, okay. I know Brian Kelly likes the I guess it's kind of like a spread run option kind of thing. Down your starting quarterback. Why the designed QB runs? Shouldn't that be something that like kind of they kick back on and maybe go, I get a read option because the quarterback has the option to run or not. So if the defender's in his face, you can hand the ball off. But the designed runs, I just feel like you're asking for trouble, and they keep doing it.
My suspicion is that we didn't see it much against Georgia Tech. And my suspicion is they brought them out against UMass because it's important against teams like Clemson that they respect the fact that he could run the ball. I do not think that they'll have a lot of design quarterback runs against Clemson, but I think that when you call 6 or 7 against UMass, they're going to show up on film. And if they show up on film, then they have to tell the defensive ends, like, look, you can't just crash down every time because you can keep it. And luckily for Notre Dame, I mean, he scored on it was over 5-yard run on a design quarterback run off of a jet sweep. Yes. And Brandon Wimbush scored on a design quarterback run off of a jet sweep. And then they had another quarterback run. It was like a quarterback counter. The good news is that he got through it and he didn't get hurt. I don't think you're going to see him run against Clemson just because, I mean, this is the kind of game where it's like you can't get him hurt, right? And they're playing like Clemson's defensive front seven is at another level from UMass. So I think that they took a calculated risk in that, okay, he's less likely to get hurt against a team like UMass than he would against Clemson or Georgia Tech. But they need Clemson to respect the fact that he could keep it.
You got to get it on the tape.
Right. If you just have him crashing down, then it just kind of takes away what Notre Dame wants to do with pro size. So I think that's probably what they were doing with that.
All right. Yeah, it just seemed odd to me. All right, well, we've talked about them enough. Let's jump ahead to this coming week. Notre Dame going to Death Valley against 3-0 number 12 Clemson. Yeah. How do you feel?
Actually, I feel a lot better than I normally would going into a game like this. So there's a saying in golf I heard Johnny Miller say. He said something along the lines of like, but for the moment, this is an easy putt to make. So some guy's sticking at an 8-footer, and it's like, yeah, it's, you know, uphill, it's fairly straight, not a lot of break. It's like he should be making this all the time, but it's like, oh, this putt is also to win like the Masters or something. Right. So, you know, I think for Notre Dame going into it, it's rare, at least in my experience. I mean, I guess it's happened a couple times. Like in 2012, I think you could make the case that Manti Te'o was, when they went to Oklahoma, you can make the case that Manti Te'o was the best player on the field for either team. And going into this game, I mean, that certainly wasn't true last year when Notre Dame went to Florida State, because they had Florida State had the number 1 overall pick at quarterback. So, but I think this year, I don't think that Clemson has any one player that's better than Ronnie Stanley or Jalen Smith. And you could make the case that even CJ Prosise is in that mix as well. I mean, he's probably as good as someone like Artavis Scott. I mean, I think if they played next year, then Deshaun Watson would definitely probably be there, but I'm not sure he's to that level right now. But I mean, Jalen Smith and Ronnie Stanley, they're projected to be top 10 picks next year. So
now, do either of them have a fake girlfriend or no? Or is that strictly a Manti Te'o thing? Sorry.
Why you gotta bring up old stuff? Look, Mike, catfishing is a real thing that I don't think we should.
There's a whole show about it.
We should take lightly on this podcast.
I agree. I'm sorry to Manti Te'o and his family.
No, good.
What year is Deshaun Watson? I feel like he's been at Clemson forever, but am I wrong?
I want to say he's a redshirt sophomore.
Oh,
he might be a true sophomore. He might be a true sophomore, but he played last year, so I'm not sure that he redshirted, but he played in 8 games last year and he broke his throwing hand in the 8th game, so didn't get to finish.
Too bad for him. Now Clemson, like, do you need to worry, Greg, because they've beat Wofford, they beat Appalachian State, and they beat Louisville, but I watched that game and it was not a good game, and it was they did not do a very good job against Louisville, and I don't think Louisville is very good. So I mean, do they deserve the number 12 ranking?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I definitely think Notre Dame needs to worry. I mean, I think Clemson's roster and Notre Dame's roster are probably pretty similar athletically. I mean, just in terms of the quality of players across the board. I mean, it's definitely the best team Notre Dame's played so far. You know, I mean, are they 12th? You know, I don't know. Are they – I mean, I'd say they're probably at least top 20. You know, I mean, they're 12th because they were whatever they were ranked preseason. But, you know, they might have dropped or not gained ground when they eked out the win against Louisville, who's now 1-3. But, you know, I mean, they definitely have the better quarterback in the matchup. They're at home. You know, I mean, they definitely have some good players. I mean, this will be the best front seven that Notre Dame has played and probably will play all season.
So what does Clemson do on defense, since you bring up the front seven? Like, I know what they do on offense, but what's Clemson's defense like?
Well, they're aggressive. I mean, they've got let me look up this kid's name. It's escaping me right now. Shaq Lawson, that's what it is. They have a defensive end, Shaq Lawson. He's coming back. He's got 2.5 sacks already. He's had 5 tackles for loss. I mean, he's a good player. I mean, he'll definitely be, you know, the best player that Ronnie Stanley has gone up against this year. Ronnie Stanley, through the 4 games, hasn't given up a sack, a pressure, or a hit. And neither has the other tackle from Notre Dame, Mike McGlinchey. So, I mean, those two are definitely playing at a high level. I think the key to this game for Notre Dame is, I mean, are they going to be able to control the front 7 of Clemson? You know, are they going to be able to run the ball like they have been? Are they going to be able to protect Kaiser? If they can, it's like I said before with USC, now they have a 2-way go. It's harder to take away guys like Will Fuller who, you know, I mean, Clemson's got a guy, Mackenzie Alexander, who claims he's the best corner in college football. That's all fine and good, but no one has contained Will Fuller yet. I mean, the guy's played 20 games. Or I'm sorry, he's played, I think, 16 games now. He has 21 touchdowns. Like, he's just, you know, and he's never had more than like a 2-touchdown game. Or I think maybe he had a 3-touchdown game at Northwestern. But, I mean, he doesn't have like a one big game. Like, basically, he's just been consistently good throughout his college career. So if you can't make Notre Dame one-dimensional, it's going to be very difficult to beat them. And Clemson, I mean, it's a stiff challenge that Notre Dame is going to be up against. I'm hopeful of it. I mean, there's no, like I said, but for the moment, they should be able to do it. I mean, Notre Dame would have to play poorly for it not to work out. I don't think it's something that Clemson can force in them. I think Notre Dame would have to lay an egg, basically, on offense. Not on offense, but on the offensive line.
Okay. All right.
You always worry about a redshirt freshman quarterback in this situation, but.
So you brought up the spirit warrior of this podcast, Will Fuller. Did you see his tweeting to the Clemson guys?
I did see his tweet. I mean, to me, it's a non-story. Like I'm. You know what the thing is with Clemson, and why I kind of feel like I understand their dislike of it for a few reasons. One.
Well, hold on. Let's Mr. Fuller did. What did he tweet? It's gonna be savage with a bunch of emoji skull and crossbones, I think.
No, it was like emoji, like little like purple like devil looking things or something. I'm not into emojis, so I don't know, but it wasn't anything like I didn't even know what he meant. And I guess he explained today that he just meant it's going to be like a crazy environment. Whatever. I understand Clemson getting upset because they haven't played a game since the 17th, so their coaches have probably only been talking about Notre Dame for the past like 15 days, so they're probably sick of hearing about them. Plus, like Notre Dame has a show on Showtime, like that all these guys are probably watching, and if they're not watching them, the coaches are probably making them watch it. So they're probably sick of hearing about Notre Dame. I mean, they're probably just done with them. So, I kind of get it. Like, if I was in their position, I'd probably be sick of them as well. So any sort of anything from a Notre Dame player, like, they're probably ready to just go to war with.
All right. Well, let's speak. All right. So we're going to war here in Death Valley. Las Vegas as a pick 'em. What do you got, Greg? What happens on Saturday?
I'm going to take Notre Dame.
I mean, you did choose them to go undefeated.
You're talking about – well, let's just – okay. I think they have a couple of things in their favor that make me feel somewhat good about this, right? I mean, I'd probably pick them anyway, even if I didn't feel good about it, just because the logic of it kind of – would make me do it. But so Clemson hasn't played a game in 15 days. They're not that deep of a team just like on the lines. I mean, they lost their starting left tackle to, and I don't remember his name, but they lost him to the supplemental draft, like in the offseason. So they were already down a guy at a very important spot on the line before the season started. So they're probably not doing a ton of hitting in this game. And their previous 3 games were against Wofford, Appalachian State, and Louisville. Okay, so like just like against Georgia Tech, like Notre Dame is bringing a different type of team to this game. And it's not like you can simulate a big, strong, dominating offensive line in practice, right? Like Notre Dame, when they bring the option, like they brought in an option quarterback to practice it. Like you can't simulate a dominant offensive line. You just can run their plays and try to fit it correctly. But if they can just shove them around, you know, you can't simulate that. And Notre Dame, they're battle tested. They've played Texas, they've played Virginia, they've played Georgia Tech. I mean, these are Power 5 teams. Now, granted, you know, none of them are particularly good right now, especially Georgia Tech, but the players that they've gone against, like they're ACC caliber, they're Big 12 caliber players. You know, Clemson hasn't really seen that yet.
No,
and they've had all this time off. So I think that gives Notre Dame a distinct advantage in this game. Secondly, like we've seen Brian Kelly put together a game plan in games like this. You know, he had a great game plan against Oklahoma in 2012. He had a great game plan against Florida State in 2014.
How'd that one go?
The case, hey, they won that game as far as I'm concerned.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that happening.
I remember it very well. So, yeah, I like him. I mean, but for turnovers, right? It'll probably go down. It'll probably come down to turnovers. It'll probably come down to red zone. Can Notre Dame score in the red zone? Can they keep Clemson from scoring touchdowns in the red zone? I mean, that's the key.
You say turnovers, and then that makes me think of a fun saying from another college football podcast, the Solid Verbal. They have a saying where they say, "Clemson, they're going to Clemson it up." So I have a hunch
they're going to Clemson it up.
They're going to Clemson it up tonight. So that means they're doing really well. They're on the precipice of greatness, and they just Clemson it up. And game day is going to be there, so this has just Clemson it up all over it.
I mean, look, if Notre Dame comes out and plays poorly, then they'll lose. You know, I mean, it's
great analysis.
Yeah, hot take. Like it's not anything. But I mean, but that's like the teams are basically even. That's why it's a pick 'em.
Right. So speaking of hot takes, I got one for you.
Okay.
This is looking down. This is looking down the pipeline. If Notre Dame keeps on rolling, is there a quarterback controversy next year with Kaiser and Zaire? We're going to be the first to talk about this.
Oh man.
I know what I just did to you.
Well, it's just there's just so much unknown, right? I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, what's define rolling? Like, are you talking about a playoff berth? Or are you talking about national champions?
Let's temper this and just say playoff berth.
If Notre Dame makes the playoff, then there will be – I don't know that there will be a controversy because I feel like these two guys are pretty – I think they're friends. I think there would definitely be a quarterback competition. I mean, I don't see how you could not have one. I mean, it's a problem that I would love to run into, to be honest with you.
It's a good problem to have, right?
Yeah.
All right. Did you watch the Notre Dame show this week?
I did not see. Oh, actually, you know what? Yeah, I did. I did see it. That's right.
So I had a question for you again. Is Notre Dame really that hard? Like all the players always say, "Oh, when we go to Notre Dame, we know that it's an extra commitment." Is that still true? Is that a real thing, or is that something Notre Dame has propagated all across the media that it's hard to be a football player at Notre Dame?
Okay, this is what my feeling is on that. So I don't think the classes themselves are all that different than what another student is taking, right? So it's like, oh, because it's Notre Dame, like my chemistry class is so much more difficult than like the chemistry classes at any other school.
Right.
Maybe it is, but that's not my understanding. I think what the thing that sets Notre Dame apart from any other place is that they are required to graduate in 4 years, which means they are required to be on track to graduate in 4 years. So that means they're taking every semester, they're taking not 12 units, but 15 units every semester. And if you choose not to go to summer school, then you're taking more than that. So you're talking about.
But I mean, I root for a school where the quarterback went to ballroom dancing class. Like
Exactly.
there are workarounds.
No, but not at Notre Dame, and that's the point.
Okay.
There aren't
Not at
workarounds.
Notre Dame.
So like that's what makes it difficult. Is like every semester you have at least 5 classes that you have to pass, and if you don't, so like I remember when Chauncey Washington. I'm going to take one back to USC. So Chauncey Washington, the running back. That was his name, right?
That was his name. A long time ago.
Yeah. This was like John David Booty era. I remember he was USC's running back, and he had been like under 2.0 for like 3 consecutive semesters. Like at Notre Dame, that just doesn't happen. Like that could not happen. And the reason that couldn't happen is you can get on academic probation at Notre Dame, but if you are not passing classes, then that means you are not on track to graduate in 4 years, which makes you ineligible.
All right.
Like you have to.
So Jerry Tillery went to the right school to become an NFL player, a doctor, and possibly the president of the United States. That's as he was quoted as saying in the show.
I'll put it to you like this. If Brady Quinn wanted to make a run at like the presidency at some point in his life, he should feel pretty good about his chances.
Did we talk about that on here, or was that in person? I don't remember. If this is the first time you're bringing Brady Quinn for president up.
It was probably in person. I'm telling you, he could do it. He was a poli-sci major.
Me too, Greg. Me too.
He's creating businesses. No, but I'm telling you, he's going to be a lawyer. Like a lot of lawyers end up as presidents. I'm just saying.
I'm very happy that this podcast is the home of Malik Zaire, Sean Kaiser Hot Take, and Brady Quinn for president.
I'm calling it now. Brady Quinn will run for president at some point in his life.
Oh, I can't wait.
September 30th, 2015.
Will his sister wear like a half AJ Hawk jersey and then a suit? Or how will she do that?
She will wear – I don't know. She will wear –
Or she could wear the AJ Hawk jersey with just a vote for Brady button. I bet that would work.
Yeah. But like an AJ Hawk jersey, but like red, white, and blue colors.
Oh, that's the one. That's the winner.
It's hawk on the back. It's his hawk on the back.
You changed it to AJ Eagle for this. Anyways, we get distracted. There was one other takeaway I had from the Notre Dame TV show. I said Autry Denson breaks down Pee Wee football game film with his son on Thursdays. The kid was like 8 years old.
The consummate coach.
I just couldn't imagine the kid even retain.
Let me tell you something about Autry Denson. Okay, Autry Denson is what? So he's the all-time leading rusher at Notre Dame. Okay,
fact.
He is in his first year as the running back coach. So in his first year as the running back coach, he lost 2-year starter Tarian Folston to an ACL in the first quarter of the first game. He lost Greg Bryant, a junior running back, to grades and transfer. He inherited a former wide receiver and 2 true freshmen. So CJ Prosise and Josh Adams are the 2 leading running backs. So far this season, they have 800 yards rushing, are averaging 8.2 yards a carry, and they've scored 9 touchdowns. Now, I don't know a lot, but that seems pretty good. So whatever he's doing, breaking down the film with whoever, he's doing a great job of it, and I hope he continues.
So we got to get those Pee Wee stats in here to see if the kids are really.
Career. How unfair is it that Todd Light's son and Autry Denson's son are playing on the same Pee Wee football team?
I know, I saw that too. That's just
how unfair is that? Like, that is just so uncool.
They're the safeties, I believe, if I remember correctly from the show. I feel like that's a waste of their athletic talent, but whatever.
Did I tell you I ran into Todd Light after the Georgia Tech game?
You did not tell anyone that.
Yeah, I was standing outside a bar, and he came walking up with his family. And I gave him the little handshake, and I told him it was a solid performance, and all he wanted to talk about was the last 5 minutes about how it didn't go very well.
Well, you know.
And I was like, whoa. I said, get on him, coach.
That's what you focus on when you're a coach.
Get on him, coach.
Always improving. Always improving.
Strive for perfection.
What have you done for me lately?
Exactly.
I have no fun USC notes. There's not that much going on. Juju Smith-Schuster was not at practice for the last 2 days. That's exciting.
As long as he shows up to the games.
Yeah, pretty much at this point. I mean, I think he knows what to do. Any other fun USC notes I have? Not really. So, yeah, it was a boring week for USC. Notre Dame's on the road. Brady Quinn's going to run for president. Thank you, everyone, for listening. I'm Michael Muto, here with Greg. Greg, what's your Twitter?
At Greg2126.
For all your Notre Dame needs. I believe his avatar is a beautiful picture of the Golden Dome itself. You can follow us at tiltingground.com. You can email us at tiltingground@gmail.com. Follow us on iTunes. So go to iTunes and actually follow. Leave a review if you like us. If you don't like us, please don't leave a review. Other than that, have a great week and fight on.
Go Irish, beat Tigers.